What's going on, everyone? Happy Saturday to everyone. Hopefully everyone is doing well and having a great day so far. It is time for the Saturday edition of the Climate Update. Today brings us from home. We're doing a full update today. We're actually going to take a look at satellite, and we have some bad news to tell you on satellite. And you can kind of see it here beneath the clouds. From about the Great Lakes on down into the Mid-Atlantic, the wildfire smoke has come back again. We're going to take a look at air quality data in just a little bit. We also have to show you, look from the Pacific Northwest down through about Tennessee and Kentucky. We have this very active pattern that has set up. The one that we said would set up in the northern plains, it sure has. It's wet up there. We have a parade of systems, and each of these systems have to come through the Mid-Atlantic region, and I'll tell you why in just a little bit. I'm super concerned about Monday. It is trending wetter for portions of the Mid-Atlantic, and there's a pretty big severe weather threat now, but there's also an ongoing severe weather threat for today as well. Let's take a look at the national picture here. Let's refresh this, and the national picture shows it's very hot in the south, from about Alabama on west all the way even into California. Extremely hot conditions. It's been a very hot summer. This is going to continue. It's not going to let up anytime soon. Taking a look at radar, you can see we have multiple systems ongoing. One in the Pacific Northwest, another one in Montana, another one in the Northern Plains. We have one up here just south of Chicago. Then we have this cluster of showers and thunderstorms in Florida. So it is indeed an active day, and there's even showers today up in northern and down east Maine. This system right here is the one of concern. That's the first system that's going to move into the Mid-Atlantic, and I have my eyes on a flash flooding threat for that, and there already is some flash flooding on going with this system. You can see here, let's go back to the National Hazards Map. You can see in portions of Illinois, this red here, that is a flash flood warning, and there are flood watches out along that. Then we come further south here, where we look at Oklahoma, and yes, in Oklahoma, there are severe weather threats for today. Show you that in just a moment. First, we have to talk about this. Canada's wildfire smoke smashes annual pollution record in just 7 months. I mean, look at this picture, and if I look outside my window here in Philadelphia today, you can't see the sun today. I mean, you can kind of see it, but you cannot see clear blue sky. We have some clouds, but we also have wildfire smoke. I showed it to you on the satellite. Now let's take a look at the air quality values. This will show it a lot better. And it's not good, my friends. It's really bad. We have bad air qualities all the way from the Dakotas right on down into the Mid-Atlantic region. You can see there are some worsening numbers, even a few places over 100 now along the I-95 corridor. I mean, it's visible. You can smell it outside. I know I could smell it when I was out earlier. It's just not good. And you come out to the Pacific Northwest, we got some bad air quality there as well. In Canada and Washington, even portions of Idaho, I mean, well above 100 and even 200 at some of these locations. So please take it easy if you're in the areas of the wildfire smoke. It's starting to creep its way into New England now. And one of the things we have to watch is, with wildfire smoke around, I've said this time and time again this summer, it could add more energy to any storm system. All right, we now have to look at this. There is a large enhanced risk today across portions of northern Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and even portions of Colorado. That is for today. But within that enhanced risk, the tornado potential, it's only at 2%. You know, it could end up higher. But really, where we're watching for tornadoes today is in the plains portions of the Midwest and here in Indiana and Illinois, where both of those zones are up to 5% tornado. Down here in the enhanced risk, you have a hatched 30% area for wind. You also have a hatched 30% area for hail as well. We could see supercell thunderstorms. We may even see a mesoscale convective system evolve with this. Day 2, Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley. You have to watch for severe thunderstorm potential. There could be a small tornado potential, wind potential, and hail potential. And day 3, we already have a large slight risk that goes from Alabama all the way through the Mid-Atlantic into portions of New York State. much of Pennsylvania, and even western New Jersey. And I think it's possible some of this could get upgraded to an enhanced risk. I mean, this is day 3, and already it's at slight risk, so this is something we will have to keep an eye on. Probabilities are at 15%. And on that day 3 time, we will also be watching for a flash flood risk. I'll show you that in just a moment. First off, day 1 for flash flooding. Excessive rainfall potentials in northern plains, portions of the Midwest, and again down here in Illinois and Indiana, where flash flooding is already ongoing with some warnings at this time. Day 2, everything shifts a little bit more east. We also have to keep an eye on here in Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming. There's going to be some heavier rainfall too with that system as well. And on day 3, there is also a marginal risk across portions of the Northeast. There's a slight risk across the Great Lakes, but to be honest with you, I think we're going to see a slight risk that gets added to Pennsylvania, and I'll show you why in just a second. Let's take a look at the tropics here. A whole bunch of nothing to talk about there. I mean, it's very quiet in the tropics. The wind profiles are not favorable. The shear is not favorable. Dry air exists. I mean, it is just not favorable for tropical development at this time. I know in the past we said, oh, eventually it's going to pick up. It hasn't, and you know what? That's something I'm actually glad that I was wrong about. We need a quiet time from tropics after what happened last year. Taking a look at the RGM model, you can see here, the RGM does have that system across the Great Lakes. It also has this system over here, which will move into the Great Lakes as we head into Monday. And this is one we have to watch tonight, because there is going to be, look at this convective activity that forms on the southern side of this. And that's why you have that enhanced risk. And that is going to spark new severe weather threats tomorrow. You can see these heavy cells even develop in portions of western Pennsylvania, Virginia, down here in the Carolinas. I mean, it's going to be an active period tomorrow afternoon, all the way through Tuesday from the Mid-Atlantic into the Northeast. It'll probably take until Monday until it gets into the Mid-Atlantic, but we have to watch these 2 different areas of low pressure. I think there is definitely going to be potential, and you can see it here in the RGM model, for some very heavy rainfall. There's going to be a warm front that sets up, and anytime you get a warm front at this time of year, you do get elevated convection, and I think there's enough moisture convergence. The water values are going to be up, precipitable water values, so this is something I am really concerned about. And the GFS model, which I am going to flip to now, has been wet for multiple runs with this system. You can see this run on 12Z, it's not as wet as its previous run, but look here, it is showing some training convection on Monday afternoon in this region. There you go again. Now we're into Monday night, and there's still convection ongoing. So this is something we have to watch, and I think there could be anywhere in this corridor 1 to 3 inches of rainfall, locally 3 to 4 inches plus where training sets up. But remember, that's not the only aspect. We also have a severe weather aspect for Monday as well. Let's switch over to the NAM real quickly. And you can see on the NAM model here, as we head into Monday, you can see we do get these storm clusters that set up, which is why I think this could get upgraded in some areas to an enhanced risk for the wind potential. You can see there's a cluster up here in Pennsylvania. There's a cluster down here in the Carolinas. So we'll have to see how this evolves. It's going to happen in multiple pieces. There's going to be the warm front with the elevated convection, and then you will have the afternoon thunderstorm convection. So 2 rounds, and yes, there could be flash flood potential. Again, wouldn't surprise me if flash flood watches go up in this area. Going back to the GFS real quickly, let's take a look at the longer range, and you'll see in the longer range, it's going to be a rather active pattern. Here we are Thursday. Another system moves across the country. And then by Friday, another system comes. Pretty much going to be a parade of systems this week. A little bit quieter next week, but watch what happens here. You get one of these southwest to northeast flows that's set up. And you are going to have a front and then a high in the Atlantic. That front is going to be rather slow moving in the long range. And we're going to get into one of those patterns where fronts could stall. And you know, that spells trouble at this time of year, especially when you get moisture from the Gulf, moisture from the Atlantic. You're going to get high water values. So flash flooding events, they could exist in the mid to long range. And you'll see in a moment that the Climate Prediction Center does reflect that. Let's take a look at this, though. You can see the Weather Prediction Center, it's going very bullish and wet from the Gulf Coast states east of Louisiana all the way up into the northeast. And this is going to be a very wet pattern. You can see here, there's a widespread area of 2 to 3 plus inches of rain. I'm even seeing 4 inches on this days 1 through 7 map. That's because, again, later in the week, there's going to be another event that moves into the northeast. You can see across the Midwest, about south of Green Bay, it's rather wet there as well. And I don't like saying this, but more rain for portions of Missouri, southern Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, where you do not need more rain. You're going to get more rain. All right, let's take a look at some temperature outlooks. This should be updating soon for today, but it hasn't yet, and I do agree with this. Below average in the north, well above average temperatures in the south for the 6 to 10 day range. Florida, Texas, Louisiana, even California, it's going to be very warm. Florida, you're also going to have continued shower and thunderstorm activity. That is, typical for this time of year. As we get into 8 to 14 days, Pacific Northwest, well above average. The South remains above average, as does the Northeast. Below average in the Northern Plains, where not only is that front going to come through, we do have that parade of systems. And the reason why you're above average along the East Coast is because with these fronts that could potentially stall, you'll have a southwest flow with high humidity and some heat, not major heat, but some heat ahead of this. There could be some 90-degree potential from New York City on southward. We'll have to monitor that. Now we get to precipitation, and look at this. Above average precipitation from the northern plains right on through the northeast on the 6 to 10 day, and that's going to continue into 8 to 14 day as well. In the Four Corners region, below average for you, slightly above average to near normal in Florida. And look what happens in the 8 to 14 day. Kind of splits up a little bit, but you can see the East Coast is going to remain above average. We could get ourselves stuck in this pattern where fronts stall out or are very slow moving. In other words, they take several days to clear because there's going to be a high off the Atlantic. And that spells trouble. I'm concerned that some waves of energy could form along it. And yes, there could definitely be a flooding or flash flood risk daily after this week. And taking a look at this in the plains, you can see there will be an area slightly above average precipitation. And yes, maybe some shower and thunderstorm activity for the areas of Texas that really need it. That's right, you guys in central and southern Texas. It's not going to be enough to end your drought, but hey, take it. It's better than nothing. Alrighty, folks, that does it for today's weather update. If you're in the areas of all these storm systems, stay dry. If you're on the West Coast, I don't want to say enjoy your heat, but stay cool. At least enjoy the fact that you're going to have dry weather for a really long time. After that winter, you do need it, but eventually you're going to need the rainfall. Alright, if you like this content, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe to my channel down below. If you know anyone who's looking for accurate weather information, at least I try my best to be accurate. Hey, I'm fair. Share this with them. And I will see you all again tomorrow for another climate and weather update. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.